who is joining us on YouTube. We are here and we are with Amanda Jordan, who is a fantastic local SEO mind. I've been a big follower of Amanda's for many years, and she never ceases to amaze. Already got some action in the chat. I've got people who know our webinars well, so everyone's saying where they're from. So I've got people from Lancashire, in the UK, people from South Wales, someone from LA, and I'm not sure if that is Louisiana or if that's Los Angeles, but I've got another person from Los Angeles as well. Someone from Boston. So yeah, if you've not come to one of our webinars, one of the things we like to warm up is just hearing where everyone's from. It's always fun. And I think also location's really important. We've got someone from Goa, hey there, and from Sweden. It's also for local SEO, the location is very important. So, so it's good to know where everyone is from. So yeah, thank you so much. Someone from Boise, Indiana, as well. We've got folks from Germany. So this is fantastic. Really pleased to get everyone going. So we are got someone from Germany. So we're going to be talking today about local SEO and AI. We have the fantastic Amanda Jordan here. I saw Amanda Jordan. I've seen Amanda speak on a number of occasions. I saw her most recently at Brighton SEO in the US, and she gave a fantastic presentation, and I thought it would be really, really useful for our Wix users. I'm just going to share a couple of little housekeeping notes for us just quickly. Let me just get that fired up. Let me just do this one. Just a second. And continue showing where you're dialing in from. Amanda, where are you dialing in from today?
Oh, I'm in Greenville, South Carolina in the US.
Okay, we love it.
It's a rainy, cold day here. It's unusual. I don't like it.
We only like sunny days. So that's good. Okay, let me see if I can share this. And I'm going to do slideshow. Okay. Oh, that's not the right slide. Where's it gone? Just a second. So, okay. So we're just going to get started in a couple of minutes. We're going to talk about local search in the age of AI, which is a topic that everyone's talking about the AI age. And one of the things that people often talk about is like lots of big businesses. But the thing about it is that there's lots and lots of folks who are doing AI optimization and smaller businesses as well. So I thought it would be great to get Amanda in to talk to us about that. So Amanda Jordan, as I said, is a fantastic local SEO expert. She's been working in the field for years. Amanda, how many years have you been in local SEO?
14 years, so a long time.
Exactly. So lots of things. When it was still called was still called Google My Business, and
Yeah.
even before, I'm sure. So just so we know, and people will ask in the chat, so let them know as well. Yes, the webinar is being recorded. If you want to watch it again, it will be at this YouTube link, but you will also get a YouTube link later on where the recording is, and you can go to, and if you want to send anybody else to it, send them to the Wix Studio YouTube channel, and they can find it there. You can ask questions in the Q&A panel. We will pull out some of the trends towards the end of it. And if you want to see future webinars, they are all at wix.com /SEO/learn/webinars. I should say that this is not a beginner guide to local SEO, but if you are a beginner, we do have resources for you. So the Wix SEO Hub has some great resources, particularly videos, to get you started from your very, very first stages in SEO. We also have a full SEO course if that's something that you feel like you need as well. And it's taught by some of the best minds in the industry. And along those same lines, we also have some great resources for local SEO, including a guide on local SEO if some of these terms are completely new to you. And we also have a webinar that we did previously with Amanda last year that was talking about local landing pages. I should also say if some of the AI concepts are new to you, we also have the AI Search Lab, which has glossaries, which has and information all about all of that sort of stuff as well. So if it is brand new to you, don't panic, hang tight. We will explain as much as we possibly can, but there are other research items that you can get stuck in if you want to do that as well. And I think that when certainly when I learn, I like to sort of jump in and out. So I sometimes I find if I'm starting with something that's a completely new concept, it's useful to sort of see where I want to be eventually. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Amanda Jordan, who is going to share some fantastic information with us.
Awesome. I'm checking to see. Do y'all still hear an echo? I can hear an echo.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll take my microphone off. Um,
Okay. Is there an echo now? I don't hear it anymore. Please, someone let me know in the chat because I don't want this to be. Okay, it's gone. Cool. All right.
so if you're ready to share,
Yep, I'm going to share my screen. Awesome. So, we're going to be talking about how AI is changing local search. One thing we know for sure, we're entering a world where AI is intermediates every query, every search. And this is especially true now that OpenAI has its own browser. We know that Google is going to definitely be integrating Gemini even more in search results as well. So this is the case. It was something where people were doing some searches on an LLM before and in a chat box, but it's going to be a situation where it's just how people search in the future. If you're like me, you're like, I don't like this in comparison to how we typically search. It's a little bit weird to have a conversation about it instead of just saying this is exactly what I'm looking for. But I do see that younger generations really do like this type of search more than traditional search. So if AI is going to be calling the shots, we need to understand how chooses its winners. What makes AI search different? Which local businesses does it favor? And how do we reverse engineer results? The last one, good luck. There's a lot of things going on in AI that, which is the reason why you get a specific result. It's personalization is a factor there. Especially if you're using something like a Gemini or OpenAI or ChatGPT, because it has a history of the conversations it's had with you, and ChatGPT can reference other conversations, so it's using that information potentially to give you context as to for your results. And then there's a lot of different things going on based on how LLMs decide to ground, and grounding is it looks at a source that it's not it's just internal data that already has to give you more context. So it can ground with a Google search. If it can't answer the question for you already with the information it has, it may use Google search for grounding, and then it'll go and look at what Google says is the right answer and then bring that information back to you in the chat box. So we're going to talk about a couple of things that AI systems and LLMs are good at. They're good at pattern recognition. They're good at being able to say, this is likely what should come next in this sentence. And that is what it's doing a lot when it's giving a response to something. It's trying to determine what is logically the next thing based on the information that it has, and it has a preference for clarity. So when you try to give it a ton of information at one time, it gets muddled up and messy really quickly, and your results start to become less consistent, less reliable. So being direct, making your information simple to understand is the best way to get LMs to really understand what you're trying to do and what you want them to understand about your search or what you're trying to accomplish. There are, of course, some weaknesses for LLMs that I think we've all seen. It's unable to accurately align with data sources. So it may say that we got this information from this data source and it's a completely different data source or one that doesn't exist. It'll make up facts or information but can't give you a specific source for it because the source doesn't exist. It cannot tell you how it came to its own decisions. It can do a really good job at mimicking, but it's not actually understanding how it works well enough to give you an answer as to this is what happened in this specific instance to give you an answer. And then it can struggle with local nuances. So there's sometimes where you will search for something and it'll say, oh, this is in this city, but it's in a different city. Or they'll guess nearby neighborhoods or cities, and they're not necessarily the ones that are nearby or the ones that you would choose, especially if you're a local SEO. So there's some like hiccups, things that it's not very good at. LLMs correlate, they don't understand. And we can actually use this as part of our strategy. Like, let's use the strengths and weaknesses to our advantage to help our ability to show up in search results. So what does this mean for local SEO? What does this look like? We're going to find out, and we're going to find out by doing a test. So this is what I did. This is why this is a pizza themed presentation. Who has the best pizza in the top 100 cities in the USA? So I took multiple models using OpenRouter, which will allow you to test multiple LLMs at once. So you can say, I want to run this on Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity, all at one time. And you can get the results from each of those back to you. And then you can say, okay, this is the information. This is how each of these respond. And that's exactly what I did. These are the LLMs that I used for this test. So general discoveries I found. Like this for restaurants specifically, their websites were the #1 source, and it's because it's your brand's best place to get information. The most information about your business probably should be on your website. The thing that make someone want to eat at your restaurant should probably be on your website. What makes your restaurant special or your business special? All those things should be on your website itself. And this still applies to other types of businesses too, not just restaurants. So if you are a law firm, a personal injury lawyer, on your website, you should give them the reasons why you're the best choice. You should make it very clear what your record is. You should make it very clear what you offer people so that LLMs have an easy time going in, finding information about your business and bringing it back and saying, this is the reason why they're the best choice. It's just how they do things in general. Right now, if you ask for best X type of restaurant or best law firm or best anything, in addition to just giving you a list of names, they give you like a reason why it was included in that list. And that information is typically coming from their website. This other information, the third parties, we'll go into those further later on. But right now, the really interesting thing is that your website is still super important. Not always the most important things for LLMs, but it is one of the important things. One of the things I also found, which I think this is just correlation, there's no causation here, is that the more times you're mentioned, the more likely you're at the top of the LLM results, which I just thought was really interesting. That if you are ranked #1 on ChatGPT, or you're the first result in ChatGPT, you're probably the first result in Grok, in Claude, and Gemini too, and possibly Perplexity. Perplexity is the one that is the most different from the normal chats. Because they have their actual own system. They don't depend on Google for grounding or Bing for grounding as much as the others. I think Grok is probably the easiest, at least right now, to rank for. It's because it is the most consistent out of all the LLMs I tested. They use the same sources consistently. So it's not like you'll see they'll maybe use eater.com, a local news article, and the restaurant website, but they'll do that for every restaurant with every query. There's not a lot of variation, which is a good thing because it tells you that I can focus on these specific sources to get the best outcome possible. And that goes with like not finding as many unique sources either. So if it's using eater.com for 3 or 4 searches and you see that, it's more than likely using eater.com for lots of its sources. So that's another good one. Restaurants do not vary significantly in comparison to other models. So if there are 5 restaurants that every LLM is recommending, Grok will definitely have those 5. The others may have 3 or 4 other restaurants included on that list aren't mentioned by any other LLM. So it kind of feels like they're thrown in there because they have another source that Grok isn't using. But Grok is like a really good baseline, I think, if you're curious, like where you're visible right now, and what sources are being used. It's like if you could only use one LLM to decide what you should be doing at this moment, that is Grok. And I'm saying at this moment because things change so quickly with AI that could be different 2 weeks from now, even next week. So this is what I learned from the winners. Um, so like what was different about the winners? So they had really good third party sources. They were more likely to be recommended due to what people were saying on Reddit, due to being mentioned in local news, or being in eater.com or directory. And by directory, I'm including like Yelp, TripAdvisor, all of those types of sites, which they do have their best. Like they'll do top 10 pizza places in New York City or top 10 pizza places in Chicago, and that will show up under directory as well. So yeah, that's a big one. Getting on those top. Uh, LLM is a large language model. Is like it's language learning model. So it is what all of these AI tools are based off of essentially. They're using that information. They have a big, yeah, ChatGPT is an LLM. So they have a big database of the internet that they've learned to get a lot of training data to understand what people search, how people search, how do people interact with one another, how do they interact with information on the internet, what is the information on the internet, all of that, and it tries to predict the next word based on whatever you're asking it. So that is what most LLMs are doing currently. As far as uh, third party source types, yeah. So eater.com, local news sites, Reddit, and directories like Yelp, TripAdvisor were the big ones. If you can get on a local news site, great. Do it if you can. If you have people talking about you on Reddit, great. Eater.com is good. TripAdvisor, Yelp. I think you're going to end up seeing where this is going, where like your reputation really matters a lot for LLMs and AI. They use your reputation to consider whether you should be added in results or not. So one of the other things I've noticed too, high reviews and higher ratings together. Um, does SEO matter at all now, or is it all LLM? The SEO, it's the same thing. I think that's the easiest thing to say for most people who are not really involved in the finer details of everything related to how to rank on SEO or in ChatGPT. There are a lot of things that are similar. It's just that the value of something, the amount it matters, differs depending on if you're trying to rank in regular search results right now, or if you're trying to rank for a ChatGPT result. That's essentially it. It's just the same principles, but the how they're weighted is different. Um, so yeah, the more reviews and the higher rating you have, the more likely you are to um, the more likely you are to have the top of the LLM results. So restaurants that had a lot of reviews or a really high rating were more likely to show up more. And then one of the other things is I noticed is that your brand is the most impactful ranking factor you have control over. So what people think about you, what people say about you, how people review you are the things that these LMs are looking at to determine if you should show up at all. So reputation, brand mentions plus backlinks equals more visibility in AI. And I think that goes back to the question of, does SEO matter at all, or is it LLM? Reputation, brand mentions, and backlinks matter for SEO too. So there's a lot of overlap. It's just like there's a little bit of weighting where I think brand mentions are more important for LLMs than they probably have been historically for SEO. But both of them, it matters for both. So the main takeaways I had was use the reliance on clarity and pattern recognition to your advantage. So we know that they like patterns and information that they can find in a lot of different places that correlate with the information they found somewhere else. We should have consistent messaging. So when you have multiple sources providing the same phrasing, it provides a lot of clarity to the LLMs. They don't have to guess what your restaurant is doing, what your restaurant is about. It's because you already have all of that information easily available to them in so many different ways that it makes it very simple for LLMs to understand, oh, this is a stone fire pizza place. This is a wood fire pizza place. There's one pizza place that came up over and over again. It's because they named their oven Emilio, and that ended up being in every single result. They mentioned that pizza place and the name of their oven. It's because that information was so consistently put around the internet because people found it interesting. provide clarity and be the obvious answer. One of the things I think people have done a lot is focus a lot on, from an SEO perspective, on being informational and forgetting that part of what you're doing is selling. So if your messaging isn't strong and you just sound like an option versus the answer, that is not going to help you with LLMs. You need stronger language for them to understand that this is what I'm saying I'm important for, and for them to understand that you're the obvious answer to whatever the person is asking about. Be good at your offering. So goes back to those third-party sources. To get added in those best of lists, the easiest way to get credit or visibility on Reddit, the easiest way to get restaurant reviewers to come by and say something positive about your restaurant, or for any business, the easiest way to get any of these is to be good at your offering. The better you are at your offering, the more likely these things are going to happen. And it works in the reverse too. So if you get a bad reputation, that could have a lot of negative impact for you online as far as visibility in search results and on LLMs. So your reputation is extremely important, and the more you work at that, the more you address the concerns or feedback you get from your customers and reviews, the better chance you have in improving your visibility as well. Yeah, so like reviews are really important. They're not just important on Google, but they're important on any like highly visible website that we know that your customers are going to be looking at to determine your reputation and whether you're a restaurant they want to eat at or not. And that's the case for other businesses too. For law firms, I see Super Lawyers a lot. I see Avo a lot. So for every industry, there are these sites where people leave reviews for your restaurant, or it's like a directory of professionals and you can leave a review for an individual professional, like if you're a therapist or a psychiatrist. All those different sites matter because LLMs are using those as sources to determine who they should include in search results. And if you're not listed on them, so that goes back to like one of the local SEO basics, citations and listings. If you're not listed on them, and if you don't have reviews or good reputation on them, you're less likely to get chosen to show up in AI results as well. So this is my theory about how things are working right now. The third-party visibility is important because it tells the LLM who they should consider to include in their results. So if there's a list of best pizza places in New York City and you're on that eater list, you have a much better chance of the LLM considering you to be in the actual results that they give the person, versus if you're not on that list at all. The more times you're being mentioned on some of these larger sites that we know that they look at for restaurant reviews or restaurant information, like eater.com, like TripAdvisor, like The Infatuation, the better chance you have in actually showing up. They use your first party, so you use your website to justify including you to the person that is getting the result. So it may say something like this: they make their dough with a 72-hour fermentation process. That actually came from the LLM. That is part of the result they gave about this pizza place, because they have this information all over on their social media, on their website. They talk about their process. They talk about what makes their pizza special. So it's easy for LLMs to find information about them to want to show them to people, more than another restaurant that may not say anything that's special about them. That makes it harder for the AI to tell you to say like, hey, you should consider this restaurant. This also helps with conversions too, because you don't want just people just to see you in a result from AI. You want people to actually come to your restaurant, come to your business, hire you. And if there's nothing that separates your business from the other ones that are showing up in that result, that's less likely to happen. So including that information, the information that makes your business different, special, including that across your restaurant's visibility. So not just on your website, but on social media, on Google business profile posts, in press releases. All of those different places helps just with the justification, and helps the LLMs understand you're important for this every single time it comes up. And of course, what helps to do this is find the right third parties to target. So you may, if you're a restaurant owner, Eater, The Infatuation, TripAdvisor, local news sites, Those are going to be Reddit. Those are going to be the best ones for you to target. But based depending on your industry, you're going to find that you may have different third parties that you really need to consider, and it may even be based off of what type of restaurant you have too. So in my case, since I was looking at pizza places, sometimes Slice showed up, and they're like a third part. They're like a service provider for restaurants, like pizza restaurants. So it was interesting that they showed up as a source, and it's just because they're related specifically to the pizza industry. So you may have ones that you can target that are specific to your industry, show up in source and as a source in LLMs or AI very often. And one of the best ways to determine what are the sources I should be looking for is to do some searches like I did. Find like maybe choose 5 to 10 cities and just ask, and whatever LLM you're already using, just ask it like, tell me about like what is the best business for X in this city. See what sources it gives you, and then those are likely some of the third party sites that you need to be focusing on for visibility. So what's my strategy for now? As I said earlier, AI changes things, and it changes things very quickly and very often. So for now, these are things that I'm doing, creating signature proof points. So like I said, creating like 3 to 5 hooks about the business that I can put in different places. So if this is like the most famous pizza place in all of New York City, I want to put that there. Or if it was featured in some movie or TV show or something like that, I want to put that in there. If it has a like process, if they make their own like sausage for their pizza and it's considered one of the best in all the reviews that they get from their customers, we should include that there. So taking the things that make your business special, and your reviews is really a gold mine. You want to see what your customers say makes you special, and not necessarily decide for yourself, because your customers know what their experience is the best, and they're going to know what's going to be the most appealing to someone who may become a customer in the future. These are a lot of the, and this is why I think this is important. These are a lot of the keywords that kept showing up: wood fired, unique, classic Italian, Detroit style, authentic. So what was happening a lot of the times is that I was just asking for best pizza in city, and what the LLMs decided to do is to include a lot of different terms or words related to that specific pizza place. And they would tell me like what types of style of pizza. I didn't say I wanted a specific style of pizza, but it'll say, if you're looking for a New York style, if you're looking for Neapolitan, if you're looking for deep dish, like it gave me those options with specific pizza places for each. So like describing what you offer clearly is super important, especially if there's something that sets you apart a little bit from your competitors. One of the things I saw come up often is like crispy, like, or information about like exactly how their dough is. Like if their dough is, if they have a crust that ends up being really crispy, if it's a square crust, if it's a very thin crust, those are things that came up a lot. So the way that people describe your food is stuff that you want to actually include in those hooks as well. And then I'm going to be like amplifying visibility of the brands that I work with on third party sites. So, and instead of trying to always get more reviews, I think a lot of us, because it's one of the main things that has been the most important for reputation for so long, focus a lot on Google reviews. But we're finding that your reviews in other third party places matter just as much. And not just the reviews, because I think for a really long time, that metric, having a rating that's a number, having a number of reviews that's a number, was a very easy metric for Google and other search engines to use. But with AI and the way that they use AI as well, they're able to look at your reviews and pull out information and context and more sentiment analysis, so that they really understand how people feel about your restaurant specifically. You can actually see that now. When you go to review sections now, it doesn't seem to show up every time, but there are times where Gemini will show up and you can ask a specific question about that restaurant, and they will try to find where people have mentioned similar things in their reviews for that restaurant as well. It'll give you little bubble options of items that you can click on to see reviews related to a specific aspect of the restaurant. So they're already using AI in this way as well, which means that it would be really smart if we also use AI to understand how our customers felt about us and how they review us. And that information is also being taken from Reddit posts, review articles, best of lists. So what people are saying about your restaurant, what people are saying about your business is impacting you everywhere, and it's for SEO and for AI. So if you're already ahead of your competitors significantly for reviews, it could, on Google specifically, it could be more valuable to focus on getting more reviews on third-party sites, or encouraging local restaurant reviewers or local business reviewers to come to your business and write an article about you specifically. So one of the things I thought was really interesting for best restaurants, there were no restaurants that were under 4.2 on Google that showed up in my results, which was really interesting because I was using AI chatbots to ask the question I wasn't asking on Google. But their Google business profile ratings seemed to correlate very strongly with their visibility. Of course, I mean, I'm not surprised that 4.5 was the average and the most likely to show up, because that is the average rating between 4.0 and 4 and 5.0. But it seems like 4.5 and higher, you're more likely to have more visibility. 4.5 to 4.7 seems to be like the real sweet spot for restaurants specifically, and this may change from industry to industry too. So that would be interesting to see how that impacts different industries, and whether this 4.2 stays consistent or it changes based on how people just specifically feel about those businesses in general. I imagine if we did like power companies, we're not going to get a 4.2. We're probably going to get a lot lower rating because no one likes their power company. And if you're leaving a review, it's probably because you had a bad experience. So, like, there's some industries where I don't think there's going to be this type of requirement to show up. But for restaurants and other businesses that have a lot of visibility and they have a lot of customers coming through, this is likely going to be like the standard. So one of the other things I think would be an interesting strategy to try out is to time small review pushes, like asking customers for more reviews when there's going to be a new PR hit. So say you are doing like some big Thanksgiving community service event with your restaurant, and you are going to get a lot of press for it. You already know the local news has already talked about it. You do it every year. And you know that it's going to be a big thing. So you may want to push customers for reviews around the same time, because that increases the likelihood that you will show up in LLMs for results related to best X around me. Because one of the things that LLMs look for is the popularity of your brand. And if you're getting a lot of reviews and the news is talking about you at the same time, you look like a very popular brand, and it gives them more of a reason why they want to show you over your competitors. So the future of SEO is web presence plus clarity plus pattern signaling. So you want to be very clear, this is who I am, this is why I'm the best answer. And then you want to make that a pattern that they can find across the internet, not just on your website, but on websites that are relevant and important for you. So it's almost like taking the idea of backlinking, but it's just mentions and specific hooks about your restaurant instead of it being a link to your website. That is what you want. So what we're trying to do is build signals AI can't misinterpret. Like, we want to make it very clear. Unlike, like I said earlier, with traditional SEO, we all think a lot about, we need to put informational content. We need to put a lot more content on our site. But AI is not necessarily looking for a ton of content. It's looking for easy understanding and a pattern that it can say, that it can look at and find what it expects to see and what is going to be the most likely to please the person who's doing the asking the question in a chatbot. All right. Thank you all so much for listening to me go on about AI today.
Hello, thank you so much, Amanda. Are you able to stop sharing your
Yeah.
screen? Thank you so much. Great. Okay, so we had lots of questions in the chat, and I hope my sound is better, everyone. So thank you for the feedback there. So one of the questions we had a few people. We had someone who said, well, "What about if I'm a vacation rental?" Someone said, "What if I'm selling furniture?" Someone said, "What if I'm doing this kind of service?" That sort of thing. The advice that you're giving, does that apply to lots of different types of industry?
Yeah, it does apply to different types of industries, and I think the thing that I one of the things I mentioned closer to the end is really important is do those searches. Whatever, if you're using ChatGPT a lot, you don't need to pay to have another model. Go into there, ask the same questions that I like ask, like the question that you think your customer is asking. What is the best furniture store in X city? Or what is the best provider for this in X city? And then look at the results that you get, what sources ChatGPT is providing for the person who's doing the search, and then saying like, okay, I need to be listed on these sources. Sometimes it's going to be like a competitor, or the website for another furniture store, another business that does the same thing as you, and they're being the ones recommended. But a lot of the times, there will be third party sources too, and they're usually the very popular ones that everyone in your industry knows about. You're a mute.
I've got people chiming in saying that they are different business types and things like that. And I'm just going to, can I make this full screen? Okay, it says exit full screen. Just a second. Okay, just a second. So we have the AI visibility tool. And if I can show this as the whole thing, I'm just going to do that. Okay. So this is the AI visibility tool from Wix. And essentially, if you are whatever business, you can see all of this in your own. You can see all of this in your own dashboard at any time. And this is included in your premium Wix website. So you go into your Wix Analytics, and you can see your AI visibility, and you can see those prompts, and it will tell you this one. So for this example, this is a ceramic painting studio in Seattle. That's a local business, and what it will do is it will query ChatGPT, Gemini. It will query Perplexity, and you can run it every few days, and you can see whether or not you're mentioned. And you can also see it in your SEO dashboard there as well. And you can also see which competitors are mentioned, and you can also see where they're getting their sources. So there, where Amanda was talking about where you're getting those sources, remember she mentioned Reddit, for instance, and Yelp, for instance. If you see some of those sources and you don't have a relationship or you don't have a presence on those sources, you can get in there, and you can start making a plan to maybe have more visibility on that. You can also see how you're perceived in these sources, and you can see the full responses for some of these questions as well. And this is available for lots of folks. So I'm just going to stop sharing that one.
That's
But that
actually
one is
really
something.
cool. Like I love that it includes
Yeah,
the areas for improvement, because that's exactly what I was talking about with the reviews. It's like you need to have that information.
yeah, and it's really great because for most other people you'd have to pay for that, but we have it included in the Wix SEO tools and the Wix information. So it's super useful. So do, if you're interested in this, please get involved and check it out. Okay, so how often do you guys recommend looking at the charts? I would say, depending on the size of your business, probably once a week, once a month, depending on how much activity you're doing. If you're not doing anything to your website, then your visibility probably won't change very much. So that's something that's worth thinking about. Okay, so then we had another question that was saying about. So we had some home inspectors and things like that. We also had someone who was talking about third-party sources. So they were saying are there third-party sources that respond better or otherwise? You shared a few. Were there any particular ones that were really important?
Yeah, I think the biggest one for restaurants specifically was eater.com. It was the one other than Reddit. But I would say third party sources that is specific to the industry was eater.com. I think Reddit is going to be important in general, but I do highly recommend uh, not being someone that goes into Reddit trying to promote themselves on every post that is slightly relevant to what you offer. That is not the strategy to use, because they will just make it harder for businesses to promote themselves. So I think one of the things you have to consider is the audience. If you have not used Reddit before, honestly, would recommend using it first before trying to use it as part of a marketing strategy.
Okay. And someone asked, I'll just show it on this on the stream. So someone asked, how do you rank better on Google Local? And this kind of goes along with the question that we had earlier, which was like, is it the same as SEO? I'm someone who says I think you should treat it as a channel, in the same way that you use keywords for YouTube, but it's not the same as classic SEO. But local SEO will help you with all of this. And which particular local SEO elements do you think are most important to show across the multiple channels?
Yeah, so I think reviews is likely going to be like business information in general, the accuracy of that information, name, hours, phone number, all of those things. And then reviews are likely going to be the most important if you're thinking across all channels. If you're thinking specifically about like on Google itself, I want to show up more. The parts of your Google business profile that are going to be important are also your business category. So having the one that is most relevant for your business specifically is going to be the best thing to do. You also want to consider photos if you're a business that is very photo heavy. Like if you're, I don't know, if you do sewer inspections, you may not want to add a bunch of photos, but if you're a photographer or a cake decorator or a furniture store, you're going to want to have a lot of really high quality photos.
Yeah, and I think it's also important. So when we're thinking about again like SEO and they're calling it GEO, et cetera. Remembering that Google is using all of the information that it has on you to give information. So they own all the Google Business Profile information that you upload, and that will help them to give better information as well, especially photos. They include those as well. So that's worth thinking. One of the other questions was someone was saying about brand mentions. So one of the questions was brand mentions where, and we've mentioned a few of those sorts of things, but brand mentions I think is one that's quite new for SEO. So in SEO previously it was links. Like you can mention me, that's great, but really what I want is a link. And with the user journey for AI, how different do you find mentions to be for local and for general SEO?
Yeah, so for brand mentions, I think they mean more for AI than they do for traditional search. With traditional search, I think you're still better off with links, but AI seems to be able to pick up a lot of information just from a mention. There are some restaurants that would be mentioned on Eater as part of their article, like an honorable mention of a great pizza place, but didn't make the list. And they would still end up in the AI results despite not being one of the linked restaurants. And it's because LLMs are able to do multiple searches on their own, so they can find your restaurant. Having the name and the city you're in is enough for them to find out more information about your restaurant without having to follow a link.
And I think the other thing that's important to remember is that not all of the LLMs have links. So sometimes if depending on which version of ChatGPT you're in, it doesn't always show a link. Even if you ask for it, but it will have a mention, and then people will ask further questions about the pizza place or about the furniture shop or whatever it may be. So the mentions are important because they might not even include a link. If you look into your AI visibility overview in Wix, for instance, you can see when they have a link and when they don't have a link. But the recommendation from the AI is really valuable as well. And yeah, I think that's that. So that I think is really interesting. People were asking, what about website blogs? And people were even saying, what about creating content on your website blogs? I think one of the things you were saying was that for a restaurant in particular, it shows it shows that you can see it. It shows your blog or the restaurant as being one of the main sources on the business. Is that something that you see across other businesses as well?
Definitely. And I think blogs are going to be important for a lot of different reasons. One is because LLMs do so much personalization. So they know more information about it. Just sounds sketchy, but they know information about you in a different way than Google does. Because if you are using ChatGPT or Gemini regularly, they have a history of your conversations in a way that Google doesn't really have because a lot of people message LLMs like you would speak to another person. instead of using it just to put in a specific phrase like you would typically do with Google search. So it has a little bit more context that it's using at that moment, and because of that, that helps a lot. That's because of that, the personalization aspect of LLMs, it helps a lot to have content that is specific to different scenarios or specific to different things. So your blog can definitely help with LLMs by being able to provide content that you may not necessarily want on your service page or on your menu, and then just having that content somewhere else. Like if you're a pizza place and you have the best vegan and gluten-free pizza in the city, but you want to primarily rank for pizza, you may want to have a blog post about why your gluten-free pizza is the best or why your vegan pizza is the best. So you can use that to create more content. And one of the things that's interesting about LLMs is that you don't necessarily have to have the highest ranking page or blog post for it to actually matter and show up in LLM.
Yeah, I think that's really important, and I think that one of the things that they've seen recently is that recency can be very important. So, I know I posted on my LinkedIn that we have a monthly report that we do on how people are using OpenAI's tools and Google's tools and things like that. I've updated it and seen it be visible in ChatGPT within 30 minutes. So the page was already indexed, was by Google, was already seen by ChatGPT, but then I asked for the latest data and it saw the update within 30 minutes. So if your page is already known to, if your blog is already known to ChatGPT, known to Google, etc., a lot of people are seeing a lot of good activity from updating those blogs, which saves you a little bit of time as well, particularly if you're a small business owner. I just want to jump in with one thing. I'm just going to share a slight element because someone asked in the chat that they couldn't see the AI visibility overview tool. So I'm just going to show where this is. Just a second. If I can just pull this over. Okay, so this one. So if you look here on your Wix dashboard, underneath underneath the analytics area, you can get to it there, and then you can get to your AI visibility overview tool there. The other thing is in the top section where where there's a search bar. You can also use the search bar to find it as well. So I'm just going to jump out of there and stop sharing. The other thing, so I've had a couple of people ask about schema markup. We haven't got much time, but I can see I have another thing about this that I can also share. One of the things that's important to think about is the way that these tools work. So with LLMs, you have your classic LLM, and then you also which doesn't necessarily go online, and then you have one that also uses the web. Okay, and that's called retrieval augmented generation, also known as RAG. So LLMs, where they just have lots of information, I sort of tend to think of it like the encyclopedia, or if anyone's as old as me, like the phone book. So they've got a certain amount of information. They'll go in, they'll look at that information, they'll give you an answer. Then we have the elements with where they have RAG, and that also goes with with the internet. So they have their information. They also look at the internet. So I'm doing my best on the Echo, guys. This is my first time using this platform, so I'll do my best. But on this one, essentially, when you have a RAG one, which comes from search results, anything that encourages a rich result, like with recipes, for instance, and like with your local business, may influence an LLM like Perplexity that also uses search results. If they're not using the search results, then they might not necessarily see it because they crawl it in a different way. I don't know, Amanda, do you want to jump in on any of that?
And I think you did a really good job of explaining it. Like, yeah, schema is going to be important. That information is important for LLMs. Is it going to be a make or break? Probably not in most cases, but you're in the best possible place you can be for LLMs and AI if you're doing and regular search results if you're using schema. So it's definitely something just worth doing because it's something you can check off and say this isn't a problem for me.
Absolutely. And I'm going to just add one more technical question. Someone asked me, someone asked me about, someone asked me also about the Wix and JavaScript and things like that. We have tons of websites that are ranking in LLMs that are on Wix. I have people ping me about this all the time. The AI Search Lab is a Wix website. Lots of Wix websites are ranking in LLMs and doing fantastically well. However, what I would also say is one of the reasons why is because the raw HTML, which is the part of the website that an LLM looks at, that is served on a Wix website on server side rendering. It's not served on JavaScript rendering. It's served on server side rendering. There's this, and this is optimal. This is the way you're supposed to do JavaScript management. And we've always done this with our, all of your HTML tags are there as well. It's one of the ways we make sure that Wix websites are, faster than some of the other ones in the industry, et cetera. So you're all good there. What I would say though is if you have an element that is on your website that might be under an accordion or might be, in a light box or might be behind a button, double check to see if it's in the raw HTML or if it's in the JavaScript. You can do this in Google Search Console. You can go and see what you can crawl the page and you can see what Google sees, and then you can search for the piece of text. Or you can go into Chrome and you can adjust your network settings to Googlebot, which might be a little bit advanced, and you can see it there as well. So just double check that anything that's really important is in the raw HTML and isn't hidden behind sort of a JavaScript feature, if that makes sense. I don't know if you were nodding. I don't know if you have any additional tips there, Amanda.
Yeah, I think that's like that's it. I think you handled that question really well.
Thank you very much. Okay, and then see, we're asking where to post the AI updates on the AI Search Lab. We post those on the AI Search Lab. I have a report that's regularly updated, and I got a new one out shortly. And we have that. Someone said this one. I'm going to post this, and maybe we can make this our last answer. So does it make sense to continue working on your traditional style SEO? Amanda, what is your thinking on that?
The answer is yes. It hasn't changed, and it's partially because LLMs and AI depend on Google search and Bing search a lot if they can't already answer the question. Going back to RAG, as Crystal was talking about, like if it can't answer the question easily based on the information it's already been fed and trained on, it is going to do a search on Google or Bing and use a keyword essentially, like traditional SEO, to try to figure out the answer for you, and then it just looks at all the results it's received and parses them and decides what you get.
Yes, and I think also it's really important to remember that you will get lots of great value out of your SEO. So as Google still gets 82 billion searches every visits every single month. ChatGPT is getting about 5 billion a month. So I think in September there were 7 billion visits to AI tools overall. That's a good amount, and it's increased a lot from last year. I think this time last year it was about 3 billion. But Google's still very big. The other thing that's really important is that a lot of your SEO tools will give you lots of insight into the kinds of things that users are looking for. So keyword research will give you information on the kinds of words that people are looking for generally, and they also can help you. A lot of SEO tools will help you to see things as well. So yeah, I think that that's really useful to think about as well. I've got a few people asking me about the AI visibility overview tool in the chat, so I'm just going to post the link to that there. So have a look and see if you can see it there. Do feel free to check in with us if you aren't able to access it. But it's my understanding that everyone should be able to access it, as long as your site is live and premium, if that makes sense. Okay, and then let me see. So it says, do non-Google search engines use AI like this? So Bing is fully connected to OpenAI, as Amanda was saying as well. So that's useful to think about as well. And there are other AI, or there are other search engines as well. A lot of them are connected to either Google or Bing really in the back end. So as long as you're handling both of those, that's super useful. And then let me see. Then I have something that's talking about platforms. Google have said previously that there is no bias with any with any platform at all, and there are Wix websites that do fantastically well. My Wix website at one point was outranking Google for certain keywords. So it's all great. It's all wonderful. And get in there and do what you need to do. And with that, I think we're going to start wrapping things up. I'm just going to shout out to the AI Search Lab, and remind people of some of the resources that we've got here. So if I can share just a second. Just a moment. Okay, so as I said, if you're a complete SEO beginner, and I've had a few people asking about keywords and things like that, if you go to the SEO Learning Hub, you can find our guides to SEO. You can find some really, really, really accessible introductory videos, and you can also find our full SEO course. You can also find our introduction to local SEO and our how to create local landing pages for SEO webinar. Both of those resources have links to lots of other resources on local SEO, which will help you get off to a flying start. And then again, the AI Search Lab, we have a glossary there. We have lots of articles there, including my own introduction to generative engine optimization, and the data that I was talking about how many people are using Google, how many people are using OpenAI, and ChatGPT and Perplexity and those sorts of things as well. And the AI Visibility Overview tool, again, if you have not used it, I put the link in the chat that will show you how you can access it. And you will be able to follow and check in with information about how you are visible on ChatGPT, on Gemini, and Perplexity, and others. And you can find it in your SEO optimization board. You can also see your competitors. You can see where you're referenced in different sources, and you can see how your brand is being perceived, and whether or not you've got good sentiment, whether you've got areas for improvement, and things like that. And with that, I'd like to say thank you very much. So thank you so much to Amanda for joining us today. And thank you to everyone for joining us as well. We will be back with another webinar before the end of the year. And in January, we will have a full Wix SEO introduction and crash course and all of that sort of stuff. So if you just joined the Wix crew, then you can join on there, and you'll get lots of insights into how you can improve your website, the new things that we've got for you. We can get more into some of those tools. We also have some accessibility tools that we can get into as well. Thank you to Accessor. Thank you to Great. Thank you to other folks who have joined into the chat, and thank you to Amanda. Amanda, where's a good place for people to follow you and find you online?
Yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best place to find me online. I've seen a lot of you have already reached out. So looking forward to having more conversations about AI and SEO.
Yes, and Amanda has said before she's very kind and very generous, and it's always happy to answer questions. I don't know if I'm volunteering you too much now, but Amanda has lots of answers. And then I think someone was asking about challenges with their Google Business Profile and things like that. Google has some great information about that as well. So do go to their forums, and you can find that information. Somebody asked if this was recorded. Yes, it is. You can find it on the Wix Studio YouTube channel. In the future, you can find our other webinars there as well. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you again next time. Thank you so much.